This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media, sponsors and producers of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium on July 23rd through 27th in Boca Raton, Florida. This ongoing CEO interview series is meant to prepare our attendees for the exhibitors that they will come in contact with at the conference. The interview is meant to be used in conjunction with the lessons that you will have learned at the Rule classroom, the questions that you will come to ask mining executives. Today, I'm delighted to welcome a friend of very long standing, John Black, a person whose prior successes benefited me directly. It's worthy to note in terms of conflict of interest that I am a shareholder of both Aldebaran Resources and its sister company, Regulus Resources. So a discussion there of conflict of interest. I have them, and I'm proud of them. John, thank you, first of all, for subjecting yourself to this interview and for your ongoing support of the Natural Resources Investment Symposiums.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. It's a great conference and great opportunity for us to present our story to people.
Let's go back in time and talk a little bit about John Black's prior successes in Andean exploration and capital market sales.
Okay, great. Just for a bit of background, I'm an exploration geologist by background. I've had my formative years working for major companies, Kennecott, Rio Tinto, WMC, and then began working in the junior space in 2004 with Kevin Heather, who's our chief geologic officer. And when we set up a company, we needed to determine what type of a company we would be. And we chose to specialize in a group that identifies opportunities to provide large copper deposits or copper gold deposits. The type of a deposit that's large enough and economically viable enough that a major mining company would like to purchase us from it once we've shown the full value of the project. Our first company was called Antares Minerals, and we had the success in finding the Hakira deposit in southern Peru, which we drilled out and sold the first quantum in 2010 for about $650 million. So roughly a 10x return for our shareholders. It's not quite as simple as that. It's a bit of a bumpy ride when you go along one of these stories. I think we came into that as exploration geologists that knew the Andes well and were good at finding projects, and we came out of it as better businessmen, understanding better the full process it takes to not only discover a deposit, but prepare it to be attractive for an acquisition by major mining companies. So with that success under our belt, we're very pleased to be on two great projects in each of our companies going forward now, two good copper projects that we think have the potential to repeat that success.
I love doing business with people who have been successful before as juniors, who understand, as you suggest, the thrust and parry of business, but particularly people who do that having come out of a major mining company. Like you, I don't have any particular interest in small deposits. I found that small deposits can only make you big money. Big deposits can make you big money, but both of them have the same kind of risk. So let's go forward to the value proposition now at Aldebaran. What have you found? Why do you think it's special? What do investors need to know about it?
With Aldebaran, we have a project called Altar, which is our flagship property. It's a large porphyry copper system. It's one that has been known for some time, but ended up in a company that didn't really match. It was in a large platinum producing company, ended up with a project. It didn't really fit their objectives going forward. And we convinced Sibanye-Stillwater that it might make sense for us to take the project over for them in advance. So it's a project that had over 120,000 meters of drilling in it when we entered into the option to acquire up to 80% of the project. And we started with a large resource. We have about 1.4 billion tons of mineralization at approximately 0.5% copper equivalent grade already in hand. But what we're most excited about is our work has led to the identification of a large geophysical anomaly, which is very coincident with known mineralization, but only partially tested. And over the past few weeks and months, we've been announcing long runs of quite attractive porphyry grade into a new zone, which will undoubtedly increase the total resource substantially in the coming months and years.
So the value proposition is that you have a very large and reasonable grade copper deposit, which you believe can be made larger.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Andes is a big place. Where in the Andes?
We're located in northwestern Argentina. We're in the province of San Juan, And for those of you that aren't familiar with San Juan is probably the hottest spot in the world right now for porphyry copper exploration. We're one of 5 large porphyry copper systems that are being drilled out by juniors or owned by majors, and that are, quite frankly, all of these projects, if they had been located in Chile, would already be mines. Argentina is realizing that they have potential to develop a mining industry now, and they're taking steps to go forward to show that this is a possibility moving forward. And we happen to be on a great deposit there at a time when they're making it easier and more attractive for major miners to come in. One of the notable things is we've seen a number of the major miners make investments into large copper and lithium plays in Argentina just in the past few years. We can point to South 32, who came in as a strategic investor in our project last year and is very excited about the progress that we're demonstrating on the project moving forward.
For those people who have lives, John, unlike you and me, confined to mining, tell us about who some of your neighbors in San Juan are. I think that's a very important component in the story.
Yes, absolutely. We're located 25 kilometers to the north of the El Pachon project, which is held by Glencore. Glencore is not known as a mine developer particularly, but they've announced that contrary to their DNA, they plan to develop that project moving forward. Mostly in recognition that it's a great time to be putting copper projects into production. And 50 kilometers to the north of us is the Los Azules project held by McEwen Mining. So 3 large undeveloped porphyry copper deposits, including ours, nested between those two along the Argentina border. And we're immediately across the border from the very large and producing Los Palambres project of Antofagasta Mining. So we have a large operating mine 25 kilometers south of us with infrastructure and water and power. And we're one of 3 projects that I think all have the merits to become large mines in the near future.
So tell me something about what happens in the next 12 to 18 months, answering unanswered questions so that the market gets to know the value of your project better and hopefully the share price can go up, or something else that you consider to be, sort of strategic or catalytic.
Key things for us is we've demonstrated the potential for it to be a much larger deposit. This season, we managed to get about a dozen holes into this new zone, spaced approximately 200 meters apart. We've announced the results on half of those, with multiple intercepts of 800 to 1,000 meters of approximately 0.5% copper, with interior runs in the 300 or 400 meter zones of 0.6 to 0.8 copper. So very good grades immediately beneath our known mineralization. So what we hope to reveal later this year is how much the deposit has grown. We'll need one more full field season next year to get to the full extent of the project. And we anticipate we'll have a PEA, the first look at the economic viability of the project and the real true value in an NPV sense of the project in late 2024. So the next 18 months are key as we reveal the full size of the project. If you look away from us at other catalysts in the country, as I mentioned, there are a number of other projects around us, and I think we will likely see notices of these projects moving forward and Argentina taking the steps to truly become a mining country. And when we see the success of projects around us, that portrays well for us as well.
Certainly it does. And for the benefit of our listeners, describe who South 32 is. I think that's an important part of the story. That's a mine-hungry miner.
It is absolutely. South 32, for those of you that don't know them, is a spin-out company that formed from BHP. So BHP had a number of deposits that were good deposits, but they didn't necessarily fit in their core strategy. These were projects like alumina, coal, tin, some other projects that didn't exactly fit in their core business groups. And so they formed a new company, a Spinco, that came out of it. That sounds like a small company. It's actually probably a $20 billion company. And it's formed on the fundamental principles of BHP, but it's a smaller, more agile company so they can move more quickly. And the one thing that they're really missing in their portfolio is copper. So they're very hungry to add copper to their portfolio. They recently purchased half of a producing copper mine in Chile, and they're very active in Argentina, not just with ourselves. They have 2 agreements with other juniors to do exploration. So they're very excited about Argentina and very committed to moving forward. And to us, what was important when we considered the idea is they've developed a reputation as being a very good partner for junior companies like ourselves. And we can attest to that. They've been fantastic partners. They provide technical help for us. They provided funding for us to move the project for us, but they let us drive and move the project. They have confidence in what we're doing. So we could certainly vouch for them and their reputation as being very good partners moving forward with projects. So for us, a perfect partner for us to move the project forward, and a potential group to eventually acquire the whole project.
John, one of the things that we like to offer up our listeners is the ability to develop personal contacts within companies, people who can give our listeners and readers a sort of a curated tour and answer questions. Our listeners are less fond of answering machines and less fond of naked financial statements than they are having a personal relationship within a company. So to the extent that our listeners want to learn more, and they should, who do they contact and how?
Absolutely feel free to contact me. My information is on press releases or can be obtained easily on our website. Please don't hesitate to contact directly to me. As you mentioned, Rick, we live these stories and we're more than happy to tell people about it. I look forward to meeting many of your followers in Boca Raton in a few months here when we get there. And also visit our website. There's some very good videos on our website that are produced mostly by our Chief Geological Officer, Kevin Heather, where he walks through the details. And Kevin has a very good ability to simplify the technical details of a project into terminology that all of us can understand moving forward. So I'd highly recommend that people utilize those resources and take a look on our website for those, and feel free to contact us or contact me directly at any time.
John, thank you so much for subjecting yourself to this interview, first of all, but also for your efforts over many years on behalf of mining investors, and particularly for your ongoing support of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. It'll be a pleasure to host you in Boca Raton.
Great. I look forward to it.